For Wu Jingyu, and we're on to the men's heavyweight division.
In the category men over 80 kilograms. In the blue, from Iran,
Sajjad Mardani from Iran. More medals in the bag than he can count, and he's hoping to walk away with another gold medal here. The man's just frankly a monster. Once he gets started, it is hard to stop him. I've fought him a couple of times. Not only is it a pleasure, but it's always an enjoyable match whenever it comes to this Iranian. Ever respectful and always bringing the heat in the ring. A true pleasure to watch.
Yeah, as you say, he's got the quality. A gentleman, but a fighter nonetheless.
in Kyo-don.
Well, speaking of composure, as you mentioned yesterday, overcoming the significant illness, battling with cancer, but he's written a new chapter in his own history. Incredibly successful, super composed, and always worth watching.
Yeah, again, one of those classic style mismatches of Korea amazing at slowing the match down, Iran amazing at pushing the pace. Two polar opposites here, a classic mismatch and a rematch from last year's Grand Slam final that came down to the wire. So I'm curious if we're going to have a repeat.
Will it be repeat or will it be revenge? Andrei Starkov from the Ukraine will be in charge of proceedings for this one as we proceed towards, as you say, the business end of this heavyweight division. Sajjad Mardani, well, we mentioned that eagle kick, that chopping kick that he's got, the axe kick. Kyo-don, of course, known for his back kicks and his ability to use that footwork and timing. So perfectly set up.
Let's see if he can land that eagle again. It paid off for him big last time in that semi-final. Let's see, this Korean's particularly savvy. I'm curious if he's going to be able to avoid it.
Well, there's the show of respect. Can he avoid the big chop kick? And of course, it's like rock, scissors, paper. The chop kick doesn't like the back kick and vice versa. So there's the head kick straight away from Sajjad Mardani. Kyo-don crouching down, using those shoulder movements to try and bemuse and confuse. Good cover from the Korean.
I like the pace that's being set right now. 2-0 for the Iranian right now. Yeah, probably a well-deserved deduction on this one. This is starting out very different than last year's Grand Slam final between the two. Last year's Grand Slam final, much slower pace, feeling each other out. I think both men are pretty confident going into this one. In-dun-kyo shaking off a painful clash. I think we can all relate to one of those if you've ever been in the ring. They're the worst.
That one did look particularly tasty. It takes a lot to stop him. Good strength in the clinch there from the Korean. Shook that one off. Stock steady, the Korean in the centre. And as you say, Stephen, a real fight already. Not wasting any time.
A lot of lights on that punch too, just not quite enough to put the point on the board. But again, it's always that there's got to be one or two punches to wake up the judges, and now we're ready for it.
Well, ready for business as we go into the business end of this final here. Halfway through the first round. Kyo-don has a little fly look at the time there. Sajjad Mardani goes with a push kick to the body instead. And after that frenetic pace, the heavyweight's just slowing it down. Little twisting kick.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for being over 80 kilograms. Pushing that welterweight pace we saw there at the beginning, not quite as easy to do, but I don't think we're going to have the bounce out at the end of the round like we have the last couple of heavyweight matches, because it seems like both these men are taking no prisoners today.
As you say, taking no prisoners, trying to take some shots on the board. Kyo-don shuffling round, looks for the backline turning kick. A little block this time. He goes down to capitalise, and he'll make sure that Gamjon is given. Doesn't need any medical timeout, and the Oscar goes to...
Yeah, exactly. The tough part about these newer uniforms too, one of the things that most of the athletes don't like are the pads that are made to go under them are not strong enough. And so those clashes just, they hurt exponentially. And not only that, they're dangerous for athletes.
Yep. And that will be reviewed because the protector system and the uniform's under evolution, but it's certainly not been perfect. It's been a perfect start though for Sajjad Mardani. Finishes with a flourish there. And the big man from Iran goes back to his corner, having been points down, Stephen.
Yep, they've got to make a fool out of me and bounce out that last second after I said, no, they're going to go for it. Trust me, I know these guys.
Commentators curse. Commentators curse. That's the way it works. If there's ever an argument for anyone that might take a rest, I think Kyo-don's got to be on that list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's consistently in finals. It's just like Lee Dae-hoon. At some point, you've got to get tired. Not even necessarily physically, but you got to get tired mentally from constantly fighting 5 elite level matches basically every 3 or 4 weeks for a year. That's a heavy tax to pay, but both men pushing the pace quite a bit, and Sajjad Mardani, same thing. He's in the medal rounds almost every single Grand Prix, so the fact of the matter is we're seeing quite the impressive pace from 2 heavyweights that arguably, frankly, I expected to take it a little bit easier in that first round, and hopefully it just builds from there.
No, you're absolutely right. Turning on that pace, and as you say, building the momentum from there. It's not been too busy for the referee, a couple of gam jobs, but they were both pretty clean and pretty clear. Well, you mentioned Lee Dae-hoon in amongst that analysis. He will be coming up in the last final. That's against Great Britain's Bradley Sinden, the men's 68s, which is of course preceded by the women's under 67s. What a battle. Matija Jelic and Ruth Bagby await in that one, but it's all about the heavyweight men here in round number 2. Korea against Iran. Kyo-don points down in this one, and both men eyeballing each other in the center.
Yeah, if I'm Korea, he's tried that back leg a couple of times. Trying for that eagle, as we've called it, looking for the turn, that classic in Kyo-don's classic turn. It's rewarded him so much in the past. Yep, that's a punch that should have scored. Probably should have scored that one at the end of the first round. Judges making it up to him on that one for sure.
Yeah, as you say, in amongst the frenetic pace, the expansive kicking, it was the power punch that puts himself on the board. Both coaches looking on earnestly and eagerly. Where, of course, in the second of 3 rounds, although this could go to golden score the way it's shaping up at the moment. Big punch again there.
Huge punch. I don't think there was quite enough extension on it, not enough noise. Right timing, just needs to turn that shoulder over a little bit more, and he's going to get rewarded for it every time.
Good back leg turning kick from Kyo-don. Response likewise from Sajjad Mardani. Both men sharing the heat and sharing the intensity. The mouth hanging open from the Korean as he slips in for the punch and takes the solace of the clinch for a couple of seconds. And that match management really helping him so far. Sajjad Mardani, super experienced. The 31-year-old bringing the quality. Can he make it to yet another Olympic Games? These ranking points would certainly help.
Beautiful under that front leg. That's trying for that notorious axe kick, barely avoided it, got his arm in the way. 10 seconds left, a lot of pressure going on. Judges not rewarding that punch, not quite enough extension on it.
Well, speaking of extension, we're extending towards the dying embers of this second round. Time ticks down, and Kyo-don, this time he gives the little nod to say, okay, that's plenty.
Yep, Iran taking the lead on that first round, Korea coming right back, taking it back on the second round. It's all going to come down to that last round, like it usually does, obviously, but this is a extremely close match, and like so many of our matches that we've had both yesterday and today, close going into the third round, explode into double, seemingly triple digits sometimes. So I think we've got a recipe for another classic heavyweight power matchup.
Well, bringing the power and bringing the speed has been both Sajjad Mardani and Kyo-don, catching their breath, taking in the coaching instructions. The last round is moments away. Well, 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 and so it comes to this. The third and potentially crucial final round. Grand Prix final at stake. 2 men that will no doubt take to the mat in Tokyo next summer, but here in the winter in Moscow, both men just taking their time. turning on the engine. There's the back leg turning kick, big chop kick over the shoulder. Good evasion again from the Korean.
Yep, that's his specialty. Just when you think you're going to hit him right as you throw that kick, he's just slightly gone and firing right back at you. It's why he's so deadly.
Good back leg turning kick, front leg response from Mardani, again avoided by Kyo-don. And he's a bit lucky to get away with that one. Yeah. I think he looked quite happy with that.
I think both of them tapped the helmet, actually. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, it still breaks out even, but it's not usually that lucky. Good pressure by the Korean. I like that, not letting Iran just bear down on him. Leaning in just a little bit, that way he can take it away, make Iran kick short, and then make him suffer for it.
The big suffering is from the big reverse turning kick. Kyo-don, he also takes a little clip in the face, accidentally from Sajjad Mardani, but nothing questionable or accidental about that reverse turning kick there, Stephen.
Nope, that was beautiful. That turn to the body's been paying off for him. Yeah, he's going to need a medical timeout on that one.
Yeah, that looked sore.
Completely unintentional, obviously. Sure. Yeah, pure accident. These things happen in a combat sport. You especially don't want to see these kind of things happen in the final.
Yeah, took a little flick to the eyeball there, just on the way through. But let's not take our eyes off of the big reverse turning kick here, Stephen. Look at this for technique.
Oof, that was amazing. It was almost just calf, but he twisted it just enough to get that heel on there. And just a little bit of friction on the bottom of the foot on that helmet, and it's going to reward you every time. And that Korean's got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, Kyo-don is actually in amongst it. Now, I'm going to have a little controversial chat with you here.
Okay.
That looked to be not that accidental. Not what you want to talk about your own division, so I'm going to move away from that because we didn't really see a proper review of that there, but certainly, instinctively, maybe Sajjad Mardani just flicked out a foot at the end there, so we'll reserve judgment on that one. No question of the accident, or no question of the quality of the reverse turning kick. And thankfully, as we see the Italian coach happy to continue, Kyo-don likewise.
Good call by the referee, I think. Sajjad's got his work cut out for him. 11-5, the Korean leads with 1:15 left. This is about to be a huge one.
Good push kicks to the body, back leg turning kick shared by both men. Sajjad Mardani turning up the intensity, as you say, halfway through this third round.
Trying for that turn. We got to go for big points at this point. Judges not rewarding that punch. There was a lot of sound, maybe not enough turned over, but the Korean going straight back in for that punch, not letting Iran control the show. I think that's the key to winning here.
Good big back leg, as you say, the key to winning, but the key to opening that door has been Kyo-don with yet another headshot.
That's why he's so impressive. It's not just these power shots. He also does those finesse shots at just the most awkward time. And it's Iran trying for that axe kick that he's notorious for.
Yeah, as you say, World Taekwondo President Dr. Chung Won-cho watching on here. Korean compatriot doing so well. As you say, that finesse to match the speed and power. As he runs down the clock, half a minute to go here.
Yep, 29 seconds, leading 14-6. Korea just trying to get his foot in the way, let Iran run into it, let Iran do all the work. Just watch your head because he's looking for that axe kick. Another turn to the face. Beautiful timing, taking advantage of that mismatch in space and distance. Take that deduction for the 5-point spin any day of the week.
Well, will it be the win from the big spin for the Korean? Kyo-don, he's come over insurmountable odds in his life before. He's going to overcome Sajjad Mardani, who's trying to push forward here. The clock is against him, as is the Korean master. He's been leaning in. He's been letting his shoulders loose. He's been throwing the fakes, the big reverse turning kicks, the big 5-point shots on the board. And it will be a big, big win for Kyo-don. Yet again, he'll take that gamjom all week. And indeed, he will take a step up onto the top of the podium. It's going to be punctuated by a video review because the Islamic Republic of Iran not happy with the gamjom given for that. Not really that important to the context of the match. Let's have a little summary, Stephen, of your thoughts on the performance of Kyo-don.
Well, Kyo-don has crushed it this round. I think Iran was so confident coming in that he was going to land one of those axe kicks, and when that gets shut down, he just struggles because at the end of the day, when you're walking away from most matches with 6 points from two different kicks interspersed throughout the match, then suddenly you don't get those 6 points. It makes a huge difference in the overall score, and when Kyo-don's leading by 10, 6 points that he suddenly didn't get. Now he's out of the race, as opposed to, okay, one big shot and suddenly he's still in it. So this is a interesting video review, because like you said, it's not going to make a difference in the overall score. There's only 3 seconds left, but maybe something about the call the coach just really didn't like.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing. The card pocketed, but the only thing that is guaranteed to be pocketed at the end of this one, Kyo-don will shut things down. Happy to take yet another Gamjom as he closes out on a superb performance here. Sajjad Mardani has run his race, and the man that he's been chasing is going to go off into the distance with yet another success. Kyo-don showing his quality on and off the mat, and sometimes it takes that little bit extra to get things done, and Kyo-don just produced that ace card today, Stephen.
Yep, I mean, that whole match was decided by 2 exchanges. Iran pushing the pace the entire time. Definitely, from an outsider perspective, not looking at the scoreboard, you'd go, oh man, he's probably leading in points. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how loud the kicks are, how many you throw. It only matters, did you get the sensors in that sock on the sensors on the chest guard? And Korea is a master at guarding those.
Masterful performance, and the little peace sign after the victory from the main man, Kyo-don. Well, he's up for kick of the year for the exact same kick.
Yeah, I believe it, but if I were a betting man, I'd say Lee Dae-hoon's, oof, yeah. That was a deserving deduction, I think, for that one.
But anyway, let's concentrate on the main kicks from the main men. As you say, he's up for the kick of the year. One of the performances of the year as we move towards the last sections of this one. Well, celebrations in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, that was a great final. Sometimes